Cool. So then at the end, just hit end, save,
Cool.
share.
Great.
All right. So just wait for people to log in. What's that?
Yeah,
Cheers,
good
mate.
to go. Cheers, man. Thanks for joining, guys. Oh, hey, Michelle. How are you doing? Just give it a few more minutes. Yeah, no, email me whenever you get the chance. Hey, Adam, how you doing? Cheers for joining. I've never done a live Instagram thing before, so hopefully it goes all right. Okay, well, give it 1 or 2 more minutes, but so the talk that I'm going to give today is about blockchain. And so if you know anything about blockchain, then I apologize because I'm going to oversimplify everything. And if you don't know anything about blockchain, then hopefully I've made it simple enough that you'll kind of understand what's going on and what I'm talking about. If you do have questions during whilst I'm talking, just send a little message and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, I think I've got about 15 minutes worth of talk to give, and then we'll do questions afterwards. So yeah. So thanks for having me, CIH Futures. Really good to be here. I'm Josh Graham, and I'm the founder of ehab. So ehab is a digital blockchain-based platform which empowers the collaborative design, financing and creation of sustainable and affordable housing projects. We're based in Norwich, in the east of England, but we also have a team of developers in Brazil and advisors from all around the world. Maybe it's my Wi-Fi, I hope not. Although we're just a startup, we have a global vision for how the creation of our built environment should be. Ooh, I don't know what I can do about that. People are saying that it's lagging. I'm part of the Wi-Fi, but okay, I'll do my best. I'll talk slowly. So yeah, although we're just a startup, we have a global vision for how the creation of our built environment should be. So we think that homes...
I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, okay. Homes, neighbourhoods and cities should be designed by the people who will live there and who are living there. And we want to optimise this process with data. We also think that housing should be at the forefront of the technologies that are available to us so that we can build to the highest quality for the lowest cost. And we really think that people all over the world should be able to lend money to each other in a peer-to-peer way to fund these kind of developments and make predictable returns. And the reason that we feel confident in achieving these goals is the use of a relatively new, pretty on-topic, and what we think really fundamental technology called a blockchain. And so I'll just go into a little bit about what that means. Hey, Fizz24, how you doing? So the first blockchain was launched in 2009, and it has more recently become famous and infamous because of Bitcoin. Now, just take a moment to remember that Bitcoin and blockchain are very different things. Think of Bitcoin like an app, an application on your phone. It has its own functions and outcomes, but to achieve those functions and outcomes, it uses a blockchain. Now, aside from anything you may have heard or read about the Bitcoin app, it is really revolutionary in what it does. So it allows the movement of value in a completely peer-to-peer way. You technically no longer need banks to store and move money. Because of the rules have been coded into the system, you cannot fake transactions. You can move money of any sort of size of sum at very low cost. And no one actually owns the system. It's run by lots of people around the world just on their computers. That in itself is pretty game-changing. And the blockchain achieves this through a computerized system of hard-coded rules, cryptography, and people all over the world deciding that they want to help run that system. So Bitcoin is just one app. There are actually thousands of apps built on blockchain technology. Some of them use the same blockchain as Bitcoin. Other new blockchains have been created. So let me just lost my place here. Oh, just so Ellie Mayo 26. I've not sort of mentioned shares or anything at the moment. So there's different things. There's tokens, there's tokenized assets, and there's lots of different things that happen in the blockchain world. There isn't just sort of one standard thing. And so I'll explain a little bit about what EHAB is doing in just a moment. So I just wanted to clarify that a blockchain, in the very broadest sense, is a distributed information storage system, which allows users to prove that they own a certain piece of information, and where anyone around the world can help run that system and use that system. So it's really important to note that blockchain is not simply a financial tool, but a multi-purpose tool which can be used for many different things across a broad spectrum of industries. And that's what we think is the really interesting use for it. It's not just the financial element. So I'll really quickly rewind to 2015 when EHAB as a company got started, and me and my co-founder Adam were basically really interested in developing eco-property, environmentally friendly property. And we had studied environmental science and ecology, and we had just graduated that summer, so we thought it would be a great idea to try and build some houses. That turned out to be very difficult, but we learned a lot about the current housing system over the course of a few months. And then we went on to discover lots of alternative models of housing, which were much more community-led and focused. So we learned about the different positive social outcomes that these sorts of developments delivered, such as co-housing and community land trusts. We then pivoted again after failing to get that sort of initiative up and running to start building an app which sought to connect people with developers to create a better dialogue over what housing was needed and help developers reach their customers. And so then, attending different events and trade shows, I met a vast array of companies who are using modern methods of construction to build homes. Homes could be obviously built more efficiently, quickly, to a much higher quality finish, and to a much higher environmental standard. So that seemed like a pretty fantastic technology, especially when you consider if those technologies can scale, then costs can go down. And so this journey of failing to launch lots of different initiatives takes us to the summer of 2017, when Bitcoin prices were skyrocketing and everyone started taking notice of blockchain as a technology. So I'll really quickly try to condense the learning of those 2 years, or the last 2 or more years, down. So globally, we don't produce enough homes. It's not just the UK, it's across the world. This is kind of because incentives for developers are misaligned with what people need. Whilst there is an undersupply of homes, then prices rise. A developer could essentially then be building the same product that they've built for the last 30 years and still see prices rise. So we thought, let's create a system which realigns the incentives and helps smaller developers with potentially more innovative building methods grow. The homes that we're building, so following on from that, the homes that we are building are of relatively low quality to what is technically possible. They're environmentally unsustainable, and there is really no potential for them to be scaled, other than to increase the workforce, which obviously in the UK that's declining somewhat. So it seems logical then to build something which would help new, better technologies reach market and scale. And the way that we're building our cities is pretty isolating. So we aren't really designing them with the end user in mind, or with community or mental health in mind at all. And considering that over 50% of people live in cities, and that 1 billion more people will move to cities in the next decade, then that seems pretty counterintuitive. So what are we doing about this? I'll move on to what we're actually building with the EHAB platform. So right now we are building 5 modules: the discovery portal, the design room, the crowdfunding marketplace, the construction tracker, and the EHAB wallet. So the discovery portal collects vital user demand data, such as budget, housing preferences, location, and automatically connects these users with relevant projects and developers. And so what we need to do with this particular module is to make it flexible enough that we can capture useful information for a broad range of house and project needs. So from social housing projects on one end of the scale, all the way to more bespoke projects on the other. And it has to be relevant globally. So the next module is the design room. And so this is the part of the platform where individuals can see the plans for their own home and make customizations with their developer based on what that developer can offer, and obviously based on what their budget might be. But it's also really interestingly where groups of users can make collective decisions about the wider community that they will be living in. And again, the aim here is to create a flexible system to incorporate different project types, but also different customs and traditions for groups all over the world. And so the crowdfunding marketplace is really the first fundamentally blockchain-based element of the platform. So there's going to be a few different terms here that I'm going to use, which hopefully I can explain. So the crowdfunding marketplace uses smart contracts, which are basically digitally written, encoded, and automatically executable contracts. And they are hosted on the blockchain. And they can basically automate a lot of the payment processes across the board. So particularly with crowdfunding and investment, that's a particularly useful tool. Tokens, which Bitcoin is technically a token, or they're sometimes referred to as cryptocurrencies, are used within these smart contracts to transfer value. And basically, at the moment, we can only really use tokens within smart contracts. And so the smart contracts and the tokens can be coded to have kind of an almost limitless variety of rules and parameters. So we have an interest in hosting shared ownership schemes, which could have a fixed equity share, or they could have the ability to staircase the property, and that change could be written with just a few lines of code. Real estate investment trusts could be formed, one for and they could have different objectives, right? So one could be for higher risk, higher return investment of property, and one could be for much more affordable housing, or there could be many different types. We're also interested in creating a digital community land trust setup where land can be bought and held in perpetuity by a group of owners of that land, and then just leased at an affordable rate to people who would then build affordable community-led housing on that site. But yeah, because of the nature of the platform and the token system and the smart contracts being so flexible, any alternative fundraising or investment mechanism that you can think of, we could probably create and use it on the platform via this module. And that would include working with charitable organizations or NGOs to leverage finances for projects which don't necessarily make a return. That module took a bit of explaining. And the construction tracker is the next module. So this is an all-in-one project management tool which aims, again, to automate many of the time-consuming administrative and fundraising processes throughout the sort of development process. So the aim here is to cut costs and unnecessary delays as much as possible. So smart contracts can again be used to automate payments to contractors, and the blockchain itself will actually be used as a supply chain management system whereby verifiable data based on the supply chain of the developers and the development can be pretty much instantaneously monitored, and it's made available to all of the people who need to know about that. And then the ehab wallet is simply just, so that's that last module that I mentioned, is simply the vehicle which will allow users to seamlessly transfer value or transfer their pounds into tokens to be used within the system and then back to pounds again. And again, we really want this module to be very, very clear and usable and as easy as possible, because a lot of the cryptocurrency and blockchain-based platforms that are happening at the moment are very, very complex and aimed really at a financial audience. So we're trying to do the opposite of that. So by combining all of these modules into a token economy on our platform, we can efficiently manage the whole life cycle of the development process from the idea stage, which includes the actual inhabitants who are eventually going to be living there, all the way through to completion. And because we use a token economy, a token system, we can actually capture a lot of the value that is flowing into the property investment and see that it is more easily reinvested in developing more property after that time. So the idea here is to try and create a virtuous cycle of investing and reinvesting in property. And again, the number of projects on the platform will enable then more projects to happen. So for all the way from social housing projects up to more bespoke projects. And so I'll just talk about a couple of additional things because I've got to the end of my bit that I've written. So the reason I mention modules is because these are the base modules of the platform, which we're going to be developing over the next year. And these will obviously always be improved and updated to make sure they get better at achieving their aims. But we are open to new ideas for modules, so maybe a planning-focused module or modules focused on enabling the upgrade of a home to become a smart home. So if there are any Internet of Things devices that are being used, it could become a dashboard for them as well. Really, the idea of the platform is that it can obviously help construction scale, but it can then begin to upgrade other elements of housing as well. So particularly for housing associations, there may be a dedicated module that we could build for managing tenants and for making sure that process happens efficiently. So I'll just mention a couple of the projects that we're working on. So we've just been pitching to the regional government of Sao Paulo for a large public-private partnership for about 25,000 homes across the Sao Paulo region in the next sort of 7 to 10 years. And it just so happens that in Brazil they're a very cryptocurrency-friendly nation, so the government have actually already done some projects based on cryptocurrencies, and in fact a lot of the developers there accept cryptocurrency to pay for your house or pay for your mortgage, which is pretty interesting. But we're also working with and looking to develop the relationship with Bromford to come up with some unique solutions to social housing here in the UK. And we're also working on the Cambridge Norwich Tech Corridor, which is about a 20,000 home development here in the east of England, which will be happening over the next 10 to 15 years. And it's really looking at trying to engage people in the development process. So I just want to sort of finish by saying to build an entirely new housing system is obviously going to take time, but we're really going to need to work with the most innovative people in the industry first. So if you see yourself in that category and you want to find out more about the testing that we're looking to start conducting, or you just want to explore how we could potentially work together, or if you simply just want to know more about our system, then the easiest way to do that is just to reach out to me via email. So my email is josh.graham@ehab.co. Happy to connect and answer any questions. So thanks for listening, guys, and if you have any questions, please just ask away in the comment section. I'll try and answer them. Okay, so Adam. So at the moment, there are probably two crowdfunding platforms in the blockchain space, and both of them really look at, so one of them is called Proppy and the other is called Real.Markets, and they do a similar thing to us in which they tokenize the asset of a house and allow people to purchase the tokens of that home, which represents ownership. And so in all of our cases, we're seeking regulation for that because it's essentially just a digital representation of a share. But they are focused much more on luxury buy-to-let houses. And I don't think either of them operate in the US. In terms of the project management system, there is one project called BuildCoin, which is based in the States. And they are doing a similar thing in that they want to bring blockchain-based solutions to the project management, particularly in managing contractors. So to do with payments and trying to reduce any delays that occur on site to do with payments. So so my email is josh.graham@ehab.co. And Adam's just posted it below. Why do I think Sao Paulo is embracing crypto? So it's for starters, it's Brazil as a whole. Their government is just open to that, and we're lucky enough. My CTO is actually very good friends with the person within the regional government of Sao Paulo who is tasked with bringing blockchain-based solutions to them. So that's been obviously very, very helpful in getting that conversation rolling. Honestly, I don't know. I think all it takes really is someone to clearly explain the benefits in that sort of situation, and then if people are willing to give it a chance, then why not? I think they did. Their first project was a real estate investment trust, which was entirely funded by Bitcoin. So I think it was $150 million worth of land and property, which is going to be bought and developed via a private-public partnership. It's incredible, the stuff that's happening in Brazil, and really there are pockets of that innovation all over the world. So Dubai, Gibraltar, Switzerland, Estonia, all of those countries have very positive outlooks on cryptocurrency and blockchain, and it's really in those places that I expect innovation to happen pretty quickly. So what can CIH members do to support you in progressing and realizing this work? Well, first and foremost, just going onto our website and signing up to our newsletter, because that's where really you can stay up to date with all of the information about what we're doing, why we're doing it, that sort of thing, any new projects. Really, I think, the biggest thing for us at the moment is trying to reach out to people who who are part of housing associations or who are developers themselves or part of development companies, architects, anyone who is within the property space. And if you can provide feedback on the idea, and then get in touch and see if we can do some sort of work together, that's going to be the biggest help. In terms of how long we... so I should say actually that our platform, with the element of the blockchain, that's really, really interesting for emerging markets, is in regions where there's perhaps a bit more fraud in the property development sector. By making sure that all of the transactions are visible on the blockchain, it first and foremost, it makes it very, very easy to detect fraud, and in that case then prevent it, and that will in turn help lower the risk of projects in emerging markets, and then in turn reduce the interest rates that they're expected to pay on their development loans. So part of the reason that we want to make this a global platform is that we see different benefits in different regions. Cashless societies, I don't know. We're kind of a cashless society at the moment. We use our card to just pay automatically at the machine. Actually, one of our advisors works with the government, the Bank of Papua New Guinea, on trying to help people who don't have bank accounts access finance, and the blockchain is a really effective way of doing that. So they're using just mobile phone technology, and then little blockchain satellite little dishes basically that enable them to connect to basically the global world of finance just through their old Nokia. Any more questions? So I think I'll just finish then sort of by saying that the blockchain and cryptocurrencies have obviously just gotten a crazy amount of interest in this last year, primarily because of all of the money really that's flooding into it. But that's actually obviously there's good and bad things from that, but that's really enabling the acceleration of the development of this kind of technologies. To be fair, so in terms of benefits, etc., the blockchain would be an effective tool for delivering that actually, and that's one of the most interesting projects I think which is happening at the moment is called democracy.earth, which is about making democracy a very fluid, automatic process. That's kind of our votes and our everything can be automated basically. In terms of what I think about CIH future, I'm only really just starting to learn about what you guys are doing, but I'm interested definitely in becoming a member. Adam was just telling me about what you guys have been doing, so I'm keen to get involved. So Mr. Randy Johnson, we actually need to update our website at the moment because we were doing a token sale. So the button on our website is for that. I'll make sure that I update that today. Cheers for reminding me. Yes, I'd love to. I'd love to join CIH members. Cats or dogs? I have 2 cats and I love them a lot. But I'm one of those people that I could go for either. If that, hopefully, that doesn't make me an enemy of everyone. Is it scone? Oh, that's a really good deal. Well, I have no excuse then. Yeah, Michelle, please do email me. Let's chat. Okay, great. Guys, yeah, as I said, so if you want to just connect with me, the easiest way to do that is josh.graham ehab.co. Send me any questions you have. I'm more than happy to just hop on a call if that's easier. Yeah, I'm gonna click the end button now. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to join on another CIH Futures event pretty soon. Great. Cheers, guys. Speak to you later.